So you just heard from the government. Now let's hear from Chief Cindy Woodhouse. She's the Assembly of First Nations Manitoba Regional Chief and the AFN's lead negotiator for the settlement process. Hello, Chief Woodhouse. Welcome to Power Play. Thank you for being there. So you heard what the minister just said. You heard about the $40 billion. I mean, you're sitting at the table. Is this the end of the 14-year legal battle?
I think we have a long way to still go. And I want to thank the minister for her words and for her commitment to trying to end all of this and to try to work towards moving forward together. And I think that we have a long way to go. Our communities have a long way to they're working really hard to repair some of the harms that have been done through the child welfare system. And the $40 billion commitment from Canada, I'm hopeful for it. I'm hopeful for our kids because we have two paths that this is gonna help. One is compensation for our First Nations kids and young people who went through the system and who suffered through the system and who were moved from home to home and were away from from our languages and from our culture and their families and our communities. That's so important, and many of them didn't get that, and they didn't get that chance to know who they were as a First Nation person, and a lot of them that I talked to, they don't feel like they fit into Canadian society, but they may feel very disconnected from our First Nations as well. So there's two paths to this, this $40 billion commitment. One's of course on compensation, but the second prong to that is long-term reform. And long-term reform requires all of us and Canadians. We all need to work together to change change the course.
And to that end, Chief Woodhouse, to that end, negotiations with the government are still ongoing. Do you think the government is negotiating in good faith? And, is there a chance that you will not reach a settlement?
The Assembly of First Nations, we're going to keep working really hard. We're going to work hard with everybody, with the government, with our partners, with other people at the table, with Canadians. We want to work with everybody to make sure that we're working to get the best results for our kids and for all of the children that have been affected by this tragedy and this ongoing tragedy that needs to stop.
And so let me ask you, Chief Woodhouse, what is the most pressing reform you want the government to put in place? I know you just spoke of this systemic failure for First Nations children. The most important reform, what would that be?
Well, I mean, to me, it would be to, let the First Nations decide on how they want to move forward, and people need to quit meddling in on child welfare reform and taking children from our communities without our input. And I think that, First Nations need to be in the driver's seat and let us be in the driver's seat. We know our communities, we know our people, we know our families.
Well, the negotiations will continue, so they go on until the end of this year. So another couple of weeks. They may be prolonged, perhaps, but we will, definitely keep on top of it. AFN Manitoba Regional Chief Cindy Woodhouse, thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you so much. Chimigwech.